Welcome to the Hockey Writers Chicks and Sticks, a weekly show hosted by some of our best female hockey writers, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From talking hockey with NHL personalities to tackling the latest big issues, our team covers everything hockey and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some Chicks and Sticks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my partners in crime, Hannah Garfield and Mariah Stark. How are you doing tonight, ladies?
I just started to wave too early. I saw Mariah start laughing at me. I don't appreciate it.
Okay.
I know, but I don't appreciate it.
It's because it's been 2 weeks, so we're excited to see each other again. So we can't contain our enthusiasm. I blame it on that. So before we start, just we mentioned that on the show a lot, but in case you have not signed up yet, what are you doing, first of all? Second of all, make sure you're signed up for the Morning Skate, our daily morning newsletter that gets sent to your inbox from every day, Monday to Friday. It's the best place to get your hockey fix and your hockey news, your hockey everything, straight to your inbox at 8 a.m. So if you're not signed up, please do so. Morningskate.io. Okay, so it's been a couple of weeks. So we'll start with our usual team updates. I feel like we have a little bit more to discuss since we've been away for a couple of weeks. So Mariah, how are things in Minnesota?
I still feel bad complaining about anything because they're really not doing that bad. They've suffered a couple losses, but they beat Edmonton, then they lost to Ottawa, and now they're playing Toronto, and so far it's 0-0, but I hate throwing them under the bus like this, but Talbot's had a little bit of a struggle the last week or two, but it's also been hard with Matt Dumba being out with a injury. I'm not sure, upper or lower body, I can't remember, but he's been out at least 3 games, and the defense has struggled in front of Talbot, but Kakinen's been doing well. Nick Bukestad came back against Edmonton, had a big game, and now Jordan Greenway's out. I get so confused on who's in and who's out. It feels like there's always somebody out for the Wild, and they still manage to do well, so I can't really complain. I'm just hoping this 2 games left of the Canadian road trip goes well, so we'll see.
It's that time of year. The bodies are starting to break down. End of the year, injury bugs starting to hit, I think. Hannah, are things better in Boston than the last time we chatted with you?
I mean, things in Boston are what you would expect. They struggled without Marchand, but he's back tonight finally, and he has a new baby, so congrats to the Marchand family. We love that for him. But they had their wins. They surprisingly did really well against Colorado on Monday. I did not watch that game because I had work and it was midday, because some people still have to work on holidays. But, I guess the big story besides Marchand's suspension is Jeremy Swayman's fantastic play since coming back with Tuukka Rask's recent retirement. Jeremy Swayman's, come back from Providence in 4 games. He has a 3-0-1 record, less a 0.96 goals against, which is, again, insane, and a 0.968 save percentage. So he is really, people are starting to wonder if he's really making a play to be that number 1 goalie spot, because for the most of the season he's been in a tandem with Linus Ullmark, but in this recent stretch he's really kind of started to pull away. So we'll see how that goes.
He's saying, we don't need Tuukka Rask around here. I got it covered.
We still love Tuukka Rask, but he's got it.
Of course. I do love their celebrations, though. I think that's cool. So the game needs more of that, for sure.
The game needs any source of personality it can get.
No kidding. Well, actually, I'm like thinking 2 weeks back now for the Canadiens, and well, yeah, there's quite a bit that's happened in 2 weeks. So you've all heard about the Tyler Toffoli trade to Calgary, which was very significant. And so that's the start of hopefully quite a few moves from now until March 21st, the deadline. And we'll see who's next, but there are a lot of candidates. Of course, Ben Sherratt has been in trade rumors pretty much since the start of the season. I think a move is probably going to be pretty close. He's played well this week, so he's upping his trade value just at the right time. Way to go, Ben. We appreciate that. Otherwise, things are moving in the front office as well. So the Canadiens are continuing to bring on former Tampa Bay Lightning, Quebec-born stars. Vinny Lecavalier has joined the front office as a special advisor to Kent Hughes. So that's cool. So we have Vinny and Marty on staff now. Speaking of Marty, well, believe it or not, the Canadiens are on a 4-game win streak. I know, stay seated. I know it's a lot. And Cole Caulfield has become Cole Caulfield again. It's awesome to see he is completely transformed since St. Louis took over behind the bench. Completely different player and really exciting to watch. It feels like every time he's on the ice, something happens and he's creating all over, and amazing what a little confidence and swagger will do for you. So it's awesome to see. Yes. Yes. It's funny, like everyone made the connection obviously right away. Like, oh, he's going to be so good for Caulfield. And we're like, yeah, okay, we'll see. Man, no kidding.
True. Short Kings unite.
So hopefully he can keep that up. It's great for the fans to be able to see him playing, and especially now that fans are back in the Bell Center finally. So that's also good. All right. Well, the Canadiens are not going to be in the playoffs, but there are several teams, including Minnesota and Boston, that are jockeying for playoff position right now with just about 30 games left to go. I wanted to see with you girls what you think, how you see the playoff race. It looks like the Eastern Conference is pretty much set, unless Detroit goes on a big run here to end the year. It looks like we got our 8 teams in the East. The West is there's a lot left to be decided.
It always is.
Yeah, like there's a lot to going on.
It's always.
So is that how you girls see it? So, okay, the East, we'll just see who finishes where, basically. And the West, well, it's going to be fun down to the final game. Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the East is pretty much locked up. Again, Red Wings made it really competitive for a while, but I think this is pretty much what we all expected from the get-go. It's the teams that, I guess the only outsider in the East is that the Islanders and Philly are doing a lot worse than people expected preseason. But generally, Panthers, Lightning, Toronto, Boston, Rangers, Hurricanes, Penguins, Capitals, like they're all the teams you would expect to come out of the East. The West, gosh, I think the West continues to puzzle everyone. Because you have teams like the Oilers who are somehow, they have, you look at the Oilers and you look at the Anaheim Ducks, they have the same amount of points right now. And there's only a 2-game, Ducks have played 2 more games. Still, I think coming into the season, everyone assumed the Ducks were going to be at the bottom, but here they are.
Yeah.
LA Kings are in 3rd in the Pacific, which, the Pacific is not the most talented division in the NHL. I think that's pretty fair to say. So it's not a huge surprise, but again, this is a team that looked awful the last 2 seasons, and now here they are again. So I think the West I think it will be an interesting playoff race to see who. Again, I think their first 5 or 6 are pretty locked in, but I think there will be some interesting jockeying for those wild card spots. And there's going to be a surprise. Someone's going to slip into the playoffs that we really didn't think.
I agree.
And my bet's on the Ducks.
I was going to say, I bet you it's the Ducks also. But, that's what you want to see, right? Like, to me, is you want to see those kind of teams that nobody saw coming kind of squeak in. And I don't know, I wouldn't want to face them, with John Gibson and that.
If John Gibson gets hot, they could beat any team in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Mariah, you see it the same way, or?
Mostly. I feel like the East, is mostly locked up, but I could almost see, like we were saying, Detroit or even maybe Columbus sneaking in there somehow. But I mean, obviously the other team, a different team, is going to have to drop off the face of the earth to make that happen. So I don't know, like I could see it happening just because that's the way the NHL is, but I could also see it being the same. As far as the West, I never know. It's been this way every single season, and it makes it fun. It's like it's not the same teams every single time, which there's a couple that hang in there, but it makes it a lot more entertaining when people are fighting for a playoff position because they play harder, they care more, there's more intensity involved, I guess.
Yeah.
I agree with Hannah on Anaheim sneaking in. Otherwise, I really hate to say it, but I could see the Jets sneaking in there. They are a stronger team than they look. And I mean, the Wild kind of coughed up 2 to them, but they played hard and they deserved those games. And it surprised me a lot how hard they played. So I could see them potentially sliding in there if another team falls off.
I was surprised. I don't follow the West as far, but when I was looking at the divisions and standings earlier, I was surprised with how high St. Louis is this season. Like, I feel like they've been up, and I feel like one time I look and they're towards the bottom, and the next time I look and they're up at the top. So
they're a team that gets forgotten.
Yeah. And their goalie, Billy Husso, Billy Husso is just playing. Like, Jordan Binnington's not even the number 1 goalie right now. St. Louis, and but it's going to be interesting, I think, to see because so much is already decided with 30 games to go, like how that will affect the trade deadline and sort of the pressure to be like, oh well, okay, so and so added this, okay, now I feel I have to add this, or if you're close, like how aggressive are you? I feel like it's an interesting dynamic this year with so much of the playoff picture sort of decided already with like already over 30 games to go. So we'll see how that shapes up over the next couple of weeks for sure. Okay, before we go to our next topic, just a reminder, as I said off the top of the show, be sure you're subscribed to the Morning Skate newsletter, morningskate.io. We got everything in there. Corey Perry's 400th goal, Sidney Crosby's 500th goal, you name it. We talk about the Miracle on Ice anniversary, everything. It's not just NHL, it's all the hockey you could possibly want in one newsletter delivered to your inbox. So get signed up.
Miracle on Ice article that has Christy written all over it.
Yeah, I didn't even have to ask who wrote that. I was like, Christy definitely wrote this. For those who don't know, Christy watches Miracle on Ice to celebrate the anniversary every year. So she's a big fan. And her article was great that she wrote in the newsletter about it. We were talking about this Pacific Division before being a little bit, there's not really a dominant team in there. But actually right now there is, because there is a team, the Calgary Flames, who are on a 10-game winning streak. And like, I know they're called the Flames, but they're literally on fire. So I know, I can't believe, I'm tired.
Mel.
Okay, I'm tired. All right. Jacob Markstrom has been great for them in net, and they're scoring a lot. Their top line is one of the best lines in the NHL. Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Elias Lindholm, And they've just added Tyler Toffoli to the mix as well. So they're gearing up. But what I want to know is, do you guys think they're legitimate contenders in the playoffs? Mariah, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, because I hadn't, even being in the Western Conference, I don't follow the Pacific as closely. But I was looking over their schedule today and stuff. I'm like, how do they have this many wins? And I didn't know this. And they're playing Vancouver tonight, but they haven't lost a game in the month of February. And I hope I didn't jinx them by saying that. Sorry, Matt, for your Canucks team. But yeah, I think they are. I mean, their goalie, like you said, Markstrom is playing outstanding. Their top line is on fire. I'll say it too. And I think, Gaudreau has earned this. I used to always hear his name so much, but his team wouldn't go very far. So I hope they do, because I think he's deserving and earned it.
For sure. Yeah, he's a dark horse for the Hart Trophy, I feel, Johnny Gaudreau, just playing on a whole other level right now. Hannah, what do you think? Are they for real?
I'm a little bit more hesitant with the Flames because I feel like they're always my favorite team in the West, and they always disappoint me. Like, I feel like we see them do really well in the regular season, and then we get to the postseason and the wheels fall off, and they're not the same team. So yes, everything looks great right now, and they look like they have all the pieces they need, except for maybe, I was reading a Flames article from the Hockey Writers earlier today, and, they were talking about the need for a scoring defenseman. But, other than that, they look like they have everything they need for a great run. But I think history shows that they sometimes struggle in the postseason, this group included, because it's been a lot of the same guys for the past couple of years. So I'm hesitant to completely jump onto the Flames wagon right now. But obviously they're putting Jacob Markstrom's been incredible. He should be a Vezina finalist this year. Elias Lindholm has been so good. But I'm not ready to completely say they are Stanley Cup favorites.
Yeah, I agree. As a Canadian, I can attest to that. I had high expectations for them last year, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So I agree. They kind of do disappoint you at some point or fall short. So we'll see if they can turn that around this year. But they're definitely playing very well right now. And they're fun to watch. So if you have a chance to check out a Flames game, do, because they're fun to watch for sure.
I love Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, like they're that top, like where's that top line is like worth the price of admission, no doubt. So we've been over the last few weeks on the show, we've been sort of going through the different annual awards, and kind of giving who we think are the favorites or in the lead right now to take home the trophies this year. And this week we're going to look at the Jack Adams trophy, which is for Coach of the Year. Again, as with the other awards, a lot of candidates really deserving this year. A lot of coaches really having their team well-oiled machines. So there are quite a few options. Daryl Sutter, who we just spoke about his team, the Flames. Dean Evison, Minnesota Wild. Rod Brindamore, of course, the reigning Jack Adams Award winner. Carolina, Jared Bednar, the Avalanche. Andrew Brunette, who took over from Joel Quenneville in Florida. Gerard Gallant, John Hines, Mike Sullivan. Like, the list is long. But who for you girls is leading the way so far? Mariah, what do you think?
I've got two, and they're both my bias. Of course, I have to go with Dean Evison. I love Brindamore. I'm glad he won it last year, but I think Evison should have won it last year. Because look at what he's done with this team. They're a winning team, and they have so much depth. They're an all-around, just ridiculous depth. So I would have to go with Dean. And then if I have to pick someone else, I would go with Andrew Brunette, who has Minnesota Wild ties, because he hasn't I don't know if you can give him all the credit for Florida, because they were doing pretty well before he took over, but he's kept it going, and he's kind of surprised me at how good of a coach he's been and kept that team going for it. So I'll go with my biases on that.
Yeah, he definitely took over a good team, but not an easy situation to walk into, and he's done really well. Hannah, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Gerard Gallant of the New York Rangers. I'm going to contradict myself because earlier, like 5 minutes ago I was saying how the East was basically all the teams you expected. The New York Rangers are kind of the one surprise. I think I would have had the Flyers in there, looking at the teams going into the season, but the Rangers have been on a tear, and they looked pretty good last season, even though they didn't make the playoffs, but they just look incredible this season. And part of it is a phenomenal play of Shesterkin, but I really think Gerard Gallant's done a great job, especially with the young guys on this team. I was shocked when Vegas fired him because I didn't think he warranted a firing in Vegas. But so I'm glad to see him in New York doing well, even though I hate New York teams, but I think he needs to be a finalist this year, as much as my Boston heart protests it.
Yeah, but like you said, he's a good guy, so he deserves it after all he's been through, really. And how does the saying go? Show me a good goalie and I'll show you a good coach, or something like that. So yeah, he's definitely benefited from an outstanding performance from Shesterkin. But I agree, I think he should be in the top 3. To me, there's a lot of choices, but I agree with Gerard Gallant, but I know it's kind of the obvious choice, and people will say, oh, he has an easy job. But to me, Jared Bednar as well in Colorado, it's hard to, make a all-star team go. It's hard to fit all the pieces together and make it all kind of be one team, and not have one player take it all. Just ask John Cooper and how well he's done that in Tampa Bay. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's brought, because I think Colorado looks as good as they've ever looked. They're as close to me as of getting that Stanley Cup that they've been sort of, everyone's pegged them to get for the last few years. I think they're there now, and I really love how that team plays. That's a modern day hockey team, and he deserves some credit. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our show already. It always goes by so quickly. Maybe it's because Christy is not here. I don't know.
Miss you, Christy.
But yeah, Christy is on vacation. She will be at the Stadium Series games in Nashville, lucky her. And I'm sure she'll have lots to report back on next week. She's here to let us know. And also her Devils are playing tonight for the first time in 8 days. So she was quite excited to finally watch a game tonight. And for one last time, in case you didn't get my message the first 2 times, make sure you sign up for our Morning Skate newsletter at morningskate.io. I promise you won't regret it. It's the best content. It'll make you laugh. It's the best, but better than starting your day with a laugh. So please do that. A lot of great people putting in a lot of hard work on that. And they love doing it, and it shows. So that's all we have. We'll see you next week.